Well, China's military announcing fresh drills in the seas and airspace around Taiwan, with China's military restricting access to civilian and business ships and aircrafts. So can China control Taiwan without having to invade it? Joining me now is retired U.S. Army General Keith Kellogg. General, great to see you. Thank you for being here. Now, there's a word for a nation sort of isolating a country and not allowing anything to come out or to go in, and that's called a blockade. That is a definition of war, is it not?
Yeah, David, thanks for having me today. Absolutely. A blockade is an act of war. In fact, remember during the Cuban Missile Crisis, we never called it a blockade of Cuba. We called it an embargo. There are multiple crises going on, and clearly the China-Taiwan crisis is going to grow. But let's make sure everybody understands a little bit. China really has never controlled Taiwan until 1945 at the end of World War II. And from 1870 on, as a result of a war between China and Japan, Japan won the war, Japan controlled Taiwan. The Communist Chinese have never had operational control, territorial control of Taiwan at all. It was after 1945, we won the war, China was on our side. But as part of the peace negotiations, China got control of Taiwan, and eventually General Chiang Kai-shek, who ran the nationalist forces, went to Taiwan. So what we've got now is something of our own making, because it wasn't until 1972, with the Shanghai Communique and Nixon going to China, that we agreed there was one China,
right, and
Taiwan was part of China, and it would be solved diplomatically. Well, that's not going to happen, David. The way it's going right now, it's clearly, it looks like it's a real friction point. Clearly, the Chinese are going to are pushing very, very hard militarily, and I'm afraid that within the next 2 years, they're probably going to do something. And what you said is very true. When you look at what they've done, they've actually, the 6 zones they've actually set up after Nancy Pelosi's visit looks an awful lot like a blockade.
It sure does.
And if a blockade doesn't work, it heads into an invasion.
Well, the problem that they have, not that I'm upset that they have any problems, but there are some real gems in Taiwan, particularly the chip industry that provides 90% of the chips for the whole world. They don't want to destroy it. They don't want to have a war of attrition like Russia's having in Ukraine, because they want a lot of those gems that exist in Taiwan. That's why, in my mind, what she is thinking is a blockade would be better than an invasion. No?
You know, that's true if he can get away with it, but I'm not too sure a blockade is going to work, because we've had blockades before that we've actually penetrated. Remember the Berlin airlift?
Sure.
That would be much more significant, helping Taiwan. And we're going to have to push back on it. But what they're doing right now is really they're testing the limits by crossing the midline in the Taiwan Straits with massive numbers of aircraft, firing the missiles all around Taiwan. But I think we can push back on them. I think we have to be very, very resolute. I think what Xi is looking at, he's looking at the weakness of the presidency, and he's saying, well, I don't know what's going to happen in a couple of years down the road. I may have to take some type of gamble in the next 2 years and do some type of invasion.
Well, let me ask, forgive me for interrupting, but one of the biggest fears I think that people have, and it was expressed in a wonderful Wall Street Journal article over the weekend, we had one of the authors of it, that perhaps they could really go the distance and do something like what Japan did in 1949 with our base in the Pacific, which was called Pearl Harbor. Is there a possibility of a preemptive strike against our base either in Guam or in Okinawa?
Well, look, that starts another war with China. I mean, it's very clear that would be very, very provocative. And one thing I'd push back on people, I said, look, China really has not fought a major war since the Korean War. They've had some incursions in North Vietnam and in Tibet and areas like that, but they really haven't fought a major war, and they'd have to be tested. One thing I can say about our military, it's been tested and proven if we have to go forward. But we've got to be very, very resolute in what we do. Having only one carrier battle group in the Pacific right now is not too smart. You know, in 2019, we actually put 3 battle groups, carrier battle groups, into the region around Taiwan and the South China Sea. But I think what we're doing is we're reaching a point with Taiwan, which, by the way, is our 9th largest trading partner. Here's a country, and it really is a country, a democratic country, democratically elected government of 23 million people. And I think the world's going to have to stand up. We're going to have to stand up and say, what do we really want to have happen in the future?
General, we only have 15 seconds, literally 15 seconds, but China's Navy is very powerful. A lot of people are saying that we have lost our edge in terms of naval power to the Chinese. Is that true?
In local areas, the answer is yes, because they control those areas around it. But it's not a lost cause, because we have combined arms capability the Chinese have not proven yet. So we may be a little bit smaller than they are, but I think we're pretty darn powerful.
General Kellogg, good to see you. Thank you very much. Very important subject. I appreciate it.